Hello there and welcome back to the Modern Stacker. Thanks for stopping by. If you're wondering why in the world are we here in the wonderful woods of Azeroth here on the World of Warcraft, you probably didn't see my last video where I was on a crazy rant talking about all sorts of doom and gloom. So anyway, that video needed to be put out, but I was kind of definitely needing a walk through the woods. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm taking a walk through the woods and thinking about precious metals, and I'm remembering back to the World of Warcraft and how it had a trimetal system. And if any of you played this game, it featured a trimetal system that had copper, silver, and gold. And from a stacking standpoint, that's very intriguing. And I think one of the questions that kind of comes to my mind as we kind of stroll through this forest is, why don't we use a trimetal system? Why do we use a bimetal system of silver and gold for precious metals versus a trimetal system? So that's what I hope to kind of answer or unpack in this video as we take a stroll. So before we go further, that like button that's underneath the screen or on your phone or whatever device you're looking at, hit it. Just go ahead and hit it. It says good things. And also, this footage is courtesy of Beyond Gaming Ambience. So if you haven't, and I'll put the link in the description below, definitely check out their page if you want to just have kind of chill, this ambience running in the background for some games that you love or enjoy playing. And if this is not your kind of thing, that's totally cool too. But just want to give a shout out to them for the footage. But let's get back to this trimetal topic. Okay, so in the World of Warcraft, they used 100 pieces of copper to 100 pieces of silver to 100 pieces of gold. So in other words, 100 pieces of copper gave you 1 piece of silver. 100 pieces of silver gave you 1 piece of gold. And that's how you kind of ranked up in your items, equipment, and that kind of stuff. That's how you got value in the game. But ultimately, right, those are the ratios that they used. Nice 100 to 1 ratios. That's easy math. Everybody can kind of remember it. In the real world, it's not as clean as that, right? In the real world, we have silver to gold ratios where it's 80 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. And for copper to silver, just again using the futures values, and not necessarily how it's coming out of the ground, but what the current monetary rate is. It's 6.5 ounces to 1 ounce. So 6.5 ounces of copper to 1 ounce of silver. And those are odd ratios, right? Those are odd ratios. But the point that I'm getting at is that the difference between silver and gold being 80 to 1, and the difference between copper to silver being 6.5 to 1, you can already see one of the problems, right? Silver to gold has a much more natural ratio. Now, that wasn't always the case. In fact, there's an argument made by some people that it should be much lower based off of what, the ratio of what is coming out of the ground naturally. And silver, it should potentially be 15 to 1, right? Or, even 10 to 1 to gold. And that's just not the way it is. Right now, we have this, the gold to silver ratio typically is kind of in the, say, bounces between the 70 to 80 range. And, for those of you new to stacking, we use that indicator to tell us when is a good time to be buying silver or when is a good time to be buying gold. That's just, you use these ratios to kind of help you make that distinction. Oh, hello, how's it going? Hi. What I think is more resonant is that, I've heard some people talking about, should I be collecting copper rounds, copper coins, and that kind of stuff. In which I say, based on the ratio alone of 6.5 to 1 copper to silver, that's not a good selling point. I would much rather go for silver than copper, just my 2 cents. But the other thing I think that's more important to do is let's talk the common phrases that are used for gold and silver. So gold is known as the currency of nations. Silver, hey, move over. Yeah, thanks. Silver, so gold is the currency of nations. Silver is the currency of the common man, right? So just using those two right there. Gold is the currency of nations. Silver is the currency of the common man. If we break those two down, then silver is basically rich man's copper. more than it is poor man's gold. And that's an interesting way to look at it. But if you also then take and look at what is the primary uses of gold versus the primary uses of copper and silver. Gold is primarily used as an investment or a store of wealth, whereas silver and copper both have. Silver's more got it has a hybrid. It's got a little bit of that investment store of wealth component to it, but the other thing that really drives the demand with silver is its industrial use, and that's as regards to copper. That's really the only thing going for it is its industrial uses. So right there, silver again has a little bit of an edge over copper in the sense of there's an intrinsic understanding that there's an investment or store of wealth component associated to silver, whereas copper just doesn't have that. Like its primary uses is in the industrial sector. So because of that, if you see value, okay, whether it's in a prepper's mindset or whether it's in an investment mindset, if you're going to be acquiring copper for any reason, it might make more sense to be acquiring it from its industrial form instead of its, specie or coin form. And that's where, copper is highly versatile for things like electrical wiring, plumbing and piping, construction, industrial machinery, transportation, things like radiators, brakes and bearings, and that kind of stuff. It's even got applications in medical things like surgical instruments, implants, and even wiring for pacemakers. And I didn't know this until I started doing the research for this video, but apparently, so I knew silver had antibacterial properties. And maybe you didn't know that, but silver has antibacterial properties. It can actually binds to the bacterial cell membranes, causing damage to the cell wall, and interferes with cellular function, ultimately leading to the bacteria's death. That's what silver does. Really cool. Apparently, copper does something very similar. It also has antibacterial properties, and it basically takes out a wide range of microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, within hours of contact, because it disrupts the cell membranes of DNA, the cell membranes of the DNA. So, I don't know. I didn't know that. Hey, it's a rabbit. Speaking of rabbits, did anybody see that South Park episode where they find the, I think it was called Make Love, Not Warcraft, where they gained the Sword of a Thousand Truths? I think there was a character named Jenkins who was like a high-level character who was defeating or causing havoc in the game. They had to level up on a whole bunch of bunnies. Oh man, that was a crazy episode. Anyway, so that's kind of where I sit on the whole trimetal situation. I think that there's definitely a case to be made for having trimetals, but again, what form do you store copper? And hey, how's it going? What do you store it in coin format, or do you store it in the format of something that's more practical? And honestly, I think having the more practical form, whether it's just like, spools of copper wire or some piping tubes that you can use and barter or trade. Honestly, I think there's more value in having something like that than there is in having, a whole bunch of rounds of copper that have to be melted down into something useful. Like, just go ahead and get it in its useful form, and you can hold it that way. But that's just my opinions. Those are my 2 cents. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And again, that like button is just staring right at you. So if you want to hit that like button, it's going to be doing good things for this video and good things for your karma. I'm sure about it. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Let's join this community. And yeah, if I ever go on a rant again, I'll just take another walk out in the woods and we'll calm down. Just enjoy life together. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Keep on stacking.